what the Diné would not give up, they shot them and killed them, laid the livestock out and just let them rot in the sun. And it was a heartbreaking experience. Among our Diné, a lot of things that we are made aware of as far as important to our lives and in our lives are to be able to plant corn and to plant squash and to plant beans and a variety of different foods. And the teachings of our people not only include the idea of planting food and harvesting it, but there's also the wild foods in that were out there in our environment. And to be able to harvest wild potatoes and wild root plants and other types of food, to harvest pinon, know where they're located and how to store them after they've been harvested. Those are the things that were very important. But Diné are the ones that began to, when the Europeans first arrived, they are the ones that began to take an interest in the livestock. And the Diné are actually the very first people that took back the horse. And the stories of our people, Diné, they say that a long time ago we had king, because if you say the word that we call the name of anything that is livestock, specifically the horse, we say the word king, and that is the sound that the horse makes, and that is the way that the name came about, king. So they always have the name for the horse. But also we're introduced to cattle, we're introduced to the goat, and introduced to the sheep. But among our people, we had the bighorn sheep that roamed the Colorado Plateau in great numbers. Hundreds and hundreds of the bighorn sheep and that were out there, and they were like the elk, and a small version of the elk. But that was just animals that were just in our environment. But when the Spaniards came, they brought livestock, and one of the main ones that they brought that were of great importance to the Navajo economy, or to the economy of the Diné, was the sheep. The sheep could be consumed as food, and also the wool that it produced could be spun. Prior to that, our people used fiber of plants and sometimes animal fur, different animal fur, and those were used in the production of the clothing, and also the production of blankets and other items that were needed. So there was a lot of change in the economy of our people, and the economy of the livestock was the horses and the cows and the sheep. And the sheep was probably the most sacred, and our people treasured those animals. And so it is that the economy for the Diné, for many generations after the 1570 and 1575, we began the livestock and the economy based on the herds of sheep. And some of our people had thousands of head of sheep, and that they had among their families and their clan families, and they all took turns taking care of the sheep. And so it is that the economy for many years, until about 1930, and then the government determined it was the sheep that were overgrazing the land, and there was a lot of erosion to the land. So a man that was an Indian agent named John Collier, he was the one that implemented the livestock reduction, and that was a forced livestock reduction. And when they confiscated the sheep and what the Diné would not give up, they shot them and killed them, laid their livestock out and just let them rot in the sun. And it was a heartbreaking experience. It was one of the very greatest injustice that the Diné believed that the government did to them. And it was much like the Plains people when the buffaloes were almost killed into extinction. But the Diné, their economy has always been for many generations that have taken care of the livestock. And those are the things that we are told.